Good afternoon. My name is Robin Roan, and welcome to today's Visit Alexandria webinar series. We are very pleased to provide quarterly webinar programs that are Event Industry Council Clock Hour approved. If I may just take a moment. Again, my name is Robin Roan with Visit Alexandria as Senior Sales Manager, and I've been with Visit Alexandria for 9.5 years now, and I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am that I get to represent this amazing destination. And if I may have your attention just for a few seconds, I want to show you a quick video and snapshot to give you a sense of the ambiance and atmosphere of Alexandria. So allow me to introduce today's webinar expert. We are so excited to have Philip Sames on our call today. In fact, he's sitting right next to me. He is the Vice President of Sales for Federal Conference. Philip is an accomplished hospitality industry professional, and he does bring more than 27 years of proven sales strategy and leadership experience selling services and solutions to senior level executives and in designing and managing global partnerships. And that's why Phil is here today. He is very proactive in the community here in the DC metro area. And now that he is working with a global organization, that just expands his knowledge and ability to serve. Phil has served in many leadership roles, so let me give you a quick synopsis of his career. He's been Director of Sales and Marketing, Regional Director, Vice President of Sales, and Managing Directors with organizations ranging from global hotel brands such as Ritz-Carlton and Hyatt Regency to technology companies including Nolan Group and Synexus. And he now, as I mentioned earlier, serves as Federal Conference's Vice President of Sales. I'm honored that Phil actually served in the United States Air Force from 1986 to 1992, and his last station was here at the Pentagon. So that's what brought Phil to us here in the DC metro area and today. I will share more information at the end of our program, but again, it is EIC Clock Hour approved, and those of you that registered that do have EIC ability to update the roster, I will be doing that later today, and you will get an auto-generated email from them. For those of you who do not, I will be sending you a certificate of completion of this program so that you can keep that for your continuing education credits. So Phil, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Well, thank you, Robin. It's an honor, and I've got to be honest, I'm delighted to be here. I live in Alexandria, so Visit Alexandria is very important to me. I also want to start off by thanking Visit Alexandria for hosting these, and more importantly, Robin, because if you don't know Robin, if you've never met her, she's one of the hardest working individuals that you will ever know, and it's been a pleasure working with her over the past year or so. Education and professional development is a cornerstone for Visit Alexandria, and they're certainly committed to our industry. So today, speaker management, streamlining the process and increase your productivity. I've been doing this, as Robin said, a while, and I call it I'm very mature instead of I'm older, right? So in the time I've been in this industry, I've yet to talk to one planner that has ever said, I love speaker management. If you're one of those, please send a message because I'd like to get to know you. So what's interesting is speaker management is probably one of the most difficult, time-consuming, task-oriented roles and tasks that you have in any meeting or program. And it really doesn't matter if it's 5 speakers or 500. The amount of time that it takes to manage from all of the content and following up is enormous. And quite frankly, it could be its own position within an organization, right? So that's what we're going to talk about over the next 45 minutes or so. And with that said, let's get into a little bit of the agenda. So the things we're going to talk about today is too many tasks, too little time, right? Meeting planners is, I think we all know that are on this call and this presentation, one of the highest stress jobs that you can have in the country. And then what do I need? Like if I'm going to really switch from what I'm doing today, how do I figure out what do I need? Because that's a daunting task in and of itself. And oh, by the way, you still have to do your primary job, which is managing a program. We're going to talk a little bit about solutions. Where can you go? How do you, some resources? And then of course, some folks or individuals may not have actually ever seen it. And you're like, well, you know, does this really make sense for me? And then we're going to talk about two different products. One of those will be Expo Tracker. And then we're actually going to have a live demo talking about some of the features on the CVent platform, the Speaker Resource Center. And then we'll finish off with some results that we found, and then we'll go into some Q&A. Hope you're ready. So, speaker management. In addition to registration, badges, building a website, do we need front or back or two-sided or multicolor badges? You have pre-planning, logistics, managing the hotel needs, room setup, food and beverage, food allergies, production, AV. I think that's just a few just to get started that you've got to manage doing a program. And oh, by the way, we've got, let's just call it 20 speakers that we need to manage. So let's talk a little bit about those pain points. So this is all the things you have to do, and now we're going to actually have to manage the speaker management pain points. So where does that come from, the content? Is that going to be driven to where you have an overview of the content of the agenda? Or are you going to have the wonderful experience of going out and actually requesting abstract submissions for your actual content? So that is the first thing, and it's a pain point, right? Because you're trying to figure out from your leadership or the committee, what direction are we headed? From there, you go out requesting submissions for abstracts or for content. And if it's a repeat program, you have the ability to go back to previous speakers, but that sometimes isn't going to work because you got to have a fresh program year after year. So now you're looking for new speakers. So you're sending it out through LinkedIn, social media, and other networks, right? So that is another time-consuming task that you have to manage. So now you've sent that out. You also have to deal with the approval process. You've now received all of your abstract submissions, and it's, you know, a month or two later. You've now put them all together, and you have to go back either to your leadership, the content committee, or the actual association's governing body, right? That, of course, is a very short program, and I'm sure they turn them around within a day or two, right? So let's just say 30 days later, you get an approval of abstract, and you have some form of fashion of a program. And you're like, oh, by the way, we're just launching the registration site, so I have nothing else going on. So you've sent out, you've got your approved bio, or your approved speakers. Now the real fun begins, right? Because we haven't had enough fun so far. Now we're going to go into requesting the bios, notifying the speakers, asking for headshots. And of course, you know, the bios they send you will be accurate and up to date. And that's just going through getting them on board, not even requesting their content. And then once they get on site and it's the day of the meeting, that's a whole nother program, another phase of the program that you've got to manage is ensuring that they're where they're supposed to be, that their information is updated, that there are no typos, because at the end of the day, we all know who is responsible. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. The planner is always the person that people go to, no matter what. So I hope that that encapsulates sort of the speaker management pain points.
I'm sure there are more.
Well, there are, but I know we have limited time, and I don't want to have anyone getting stressed out over talking about speaker management too much on the other end of the screen. So what do I need? You know, the question becomes really is, have you really sat back and looked at what is your process, right? What's the flow? So we sort of walk through that process, but the other question is, how are you managing that today? So in that process, Are you managing it via email? How are you doing your invites? Is it through MailChimp? And then once you have the responses back, what's the approval process? How many levels of approvals do you need? Is there a committee and then there's a final body? And I think for those of you who may be from the pharma or scientific community, that's a much more difficult process because of confidentiality that you have to manage through, right? Versus an association may not have the same complexities. So depending on your organization, that process may vary and be much different. And even within the association market, right? Those meetings are all very different. If it's a committee meeting versus your annual conference of 10,000 people. And then you want to take a look at what, as we talked a little bit about, what tools are you using? So is it email? Is it MailChimp? How are you tracking those emails if you're not using something like a MailChimp, right? You send out your invitations, you send out your follow-ups, and they go into the abyss because at the end of the day, you have no way to track it. Dropbox. So now you've gotten your approvals. What method are you going to be able to have as a repository? Is it Dropbox? Is it Google Docs? Are you using calendar outlooks for tasks? And do you have a checklist, right? How are you managing all of that? And again, whether it's 5 or 500, it's still an arduous process all the way through. And then where are you storing the responses? And then of course, having the information and the data loaded for actual on-site of the conference. How are you managing that? How are you pushing it out to the mobile app, to your website? So those are just some of the things. When you look at, for instance, if you're a larger conference maybe, or you're looking at a recognizable or individual such for a keynote speaker, maybe you're looking at Bill Gates. Is there an honorarium? That in itself is a whole nother process because you're looking at contracts, legal ramifications, how are you making the payments, all the special requirements, because, you know, some speakers can be a bit of a diva. And not that that's ever happened to me as a hotel person, where I have to have the room at a certain temperature with the bed in a certain way, but that's another topic for another day. So does that help as far as identifying the current process that you have? Again, you've got to be able to take the time. And I know that all of us immediately, as soon as the program is over, you start looking at the next year. So really having an opportunity to stop, really analyze and document your current process and the things that you need. So after you've done that, you want to go into features, right? So what are some of the features that are going to be important to help you save time, save money, and improve the attendee engagement? So some features, for instance, that are important are going to be import rooms and times, because you've already typed it up. You have to have some sort of a document that you're using. Normally it's a spreadsheet because that's how we're doing it today. Believe it or not, in today's era, most people are managing their speaker management on a spreadsheet with multiple tabs, and you've got to be an expert, of which I'm certainly not, with macros and tables. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then being able to do task assignments. How are you managing that with your speakers? How are you following up? How are you tracking that? And how are you reminding yourself that, oh gosh, the deadline's here. And I'm going to be honest with you today, I am a typical speaker. Poor Robin. Of course, I showed up and I had changes to my presentation. So not that that ever happened. So Robin, being the amazing person she is, made everything right and fantastic, of course.
I'll give you that 20 bucks later.
So it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, all speakers are the same. And then integrations, right? So when you're looking at features, you want to look at integration. So are you using systems like IMIS? Are you using Salesforce for your member management? Registration, do you need to have your speaker management platform integrated and have it fully integrated, right? So from registration to mobile app, surveys, the whole program, right? And then communication and reporting is critical, right? At the end of the day, all of this is great, but when you go back to your leadership at the end of the program, having the analytics is critical, and reporting is the only way you're going to get that. And then session updates, right? So the list of things, of features like, so last minute changes, Robin, you know, how do you get those communicated and uploaded into the system? And are they going out to all of your different channels? So whether it's a website that's web enabled or to your mobile app. Another thing to think about is future growth. Where is your organization today? Many organizations, it's the 64th annual most amazing conference ever, held in the greatest city in the world, Washington, D.C. Not that I'm biased. So maybe that you have a very stable program until you get a new executive director or a new leadership, and now they want growth, right? So have a conversation and don't look at just what you need today, but how are you going to grow? How do you maintain your members? How do you grow either membership or revenues? Because obviously that's a, you know, annual programs tend to be the biggest opportunity for revenues to your organizations. And then lastly, strategies, right? So how is your engagement with your attendees? Do you want to improve that? Are you using a mobile app today? Do you want to use a mobile app next year? You know, and there are a lot of strategies when you look at, hey, gosh, I've never done this before. And oh my gosh, I can't afford it. However, if you were to have a sponsorship, maybe that's something you can look at next year, and that you have a sponsor, you know, do the mobile app. And I skipped over the pricing because I wanted to go back to that. So pricing ranges anywhere from free and $1,000 to $2,000 and on up. So it really varies, again, based on the other things that we've talked about is price point. Again, many organizations today use spreadsheets, Dropbox, MailChimp, so on and so forth, because they say they can't afford it. At the end of the day, if you start adding up the number of hours that you invest in speaker management, multiply that times your hourly salary, you'll find that you really can't afford it, because then you can move from managing speakers and taking those hours to managing the attendee experience, right? And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, are those surveys that the attendees had an amazing event, as well as the speakers, so that they come back for future programs. I hope that makes sense so far. And what do I need? So solutions. One of the resources that we use is Capterra. It's an amazing, free to use online website. And based on the previous slide, you've kind of gone through and identified the key elements that you need for your organization, because they're all different. But if you'll notice on the left side of the screen, you can actually select many of the things we just talked about. So whether that is going to be free, an annual subscription, speaker management, you can do individuals, attendees, what type of platform do you want it to be on? And you can see on the screen, these are some of the results, as well as it'll give you a brief description. So if you're just starting in this journey to identify speaker management and a platform, this is going to give you at least a starting point to, hey, these are the organizations, this matches what I'm looking for, such as Eventry or A to Z Events, Event Mobile, and there's many, many more, as we'll talk about in the next few minutes. So again, free product, it's online, and it's a great starting point if you've never gone down this path before. Another resource that's extremely helpful, and I am signed up for this, I receive it every year, is EventMB. They are a great technology resource. The one that I like the most, which isn't necessarily fully related to speaker management, but is certainly integrated, which is the Mobile App Bible. It's sent out every year. It is the most comprehensive product that I have found in the market today to provide you indications as to what does integrate to speaker management systems, what different features are available. And again, these are all tools that are online and free that can help you with your journey of identifying the right solution for you. So one of the things we're going to start off with, as far as seeing is believing, is Expo Tracker. We're going to have a couple of screenshots. Expo Tracker is a great product. It's very robust. And what I wanted to share with you here is sort of the attendee, the speaker profile. And this particular product is actually very customizable. So based upon mandatory fields or required fields versus the flexibility to do drop downs. So if you have specific information that's required for your particular program, all of those empty areas or fields can be customized and changed based upon your needs. The next screen, we had a bit of a glitch there. Sorry about that. One of the challenges in all of this is just holding it all together, right? So you really want to have a platform and a dashboard that's going to help you with submission systems overview, right? So where are we with our submissions, our responses, how many people have responded, how many people have uploaded the information? So this is, again, just a general dashboard that's going to be able to help you be able to go on site, look in, and be able to report back to the committee, to your leadership, to the board. Where we are is to, hey, out of our speakers, out of our 250 speakers, we have 17 that have responded. We have their profiles. We're definitely on pace and on track. So it's, again, a lot easier than trying to go through and do a sort or a pivot table on an Excel spreadsheet. Again, reporting analytics. This is speaker systems overview that's going to provide you with the number of events, and any kind of other details. And again, this particular program, Expo Tracker, you have the flexibility to do custom reporting and imports. So on Expo Tracker, again, just a great product, very robust, great system. And what I'd like to do is actually go on to our next actual demo of a live system, which is going to be the Speaker Resource Center, as it's referred to, within CVent. And we are fortunate enough to be able to have Julie from CVent actually give us a live demo.
Hi there. Are you there, Julia? There we go. Give us one moment because we are not able to hear you. One moment. Thank you for your patience. All right, we just got off the phone with our CVent representative and she is going to call in. So again, thank you for your patience.
Hi, Phil and Robin, this is Julia. Can you all hear me now?
We sure can. Thank you so much, Julia. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Of course. My apologies. I was hearing you the whole time. So my name is Julia Gould. I am a technical consultant over at CVent. So thank you everyone for bearing with me during my Zoom problems. But today I'd love to walk you through CVent's Speaker Resource Center. This will follow along with the full process that Phil just walked us through. So you went ahead, you did your call for papers, you've selected your speakers, the review and the acceptance has been completed. So now you do have to really manage those final profiles, those final uploads of documents and of resources. So what I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at this from a speaker's perspective. The planner went ahead in this event and they uploaded, you can do a mass import, make it nice and easy, a full list of all of the accepted speakers into CVent, and they generated out a welcome email to me. I clicked through the link in that email. I've now logged into my personal speaker resource center. This is a great way for you all as planners to actually provide me with any general information. What is the goal of having this centralized hub? Any overall details that I need to know about the event. So you can really tailor this to make sure that I am giving you all the information that you need. Up top, we'll see a few different areas, my tasks, my sessions, as well as my profile. And we're going to start here on my profile. As a planner, you can use CVent's Speaker Resource Center to actually decide what does a speaker have access to. So can I actually edit my biography? Can I actually edit and upload a new profile image here? Or do you want to lock that down only to what I've provided you in the initial call for papers or to what you've added separately? Of course, you probably want to give them that access so that you're not chasing them down. Any changes that I make in here as a speaker will sync directly into CVent for you so that you can pass this over to your mobile app and that you have all of this information in one place. Same thing goes for my sessions. So not only can you now tell me exactly what sessions I'll be speaking at, show me the description, show me when and where they're actually taking place. As you make any changes to these sessions, that will also reflect here for me. So as you determine my final breakout location, or if you make an update to the date and the time, I as the speaker will have access to all of that.
This is Rob, and can I ask you, is this real time? And the reason I ask that is location, as you know, and you know, the expo world and hotel world, that meeting rooms can change last minute. So that's why I'm asking the question.
That's a great question. Yes. So the meeting room locations, the date and time, this is being generated through CVent session management. So as you change it in session management in CVent, it's going to, of course, update your attendee schedules, but it will push directly into the resource center. You only have to change it in one place, and it will be real-time syncing to all of those potentially connected CVent solutions, depending on what you might be using. What's also great about this is that just because you're giving a speaker the ability to edit their own sessions, the title or the description, it doesn't mean that they're making these changes without your final approval. So you as a planner still have that full control, and you can put an approval process in place. Like we see here, I edited my below session, and it gave me a nice quick pop-up letting me know only once you as the planner approve this change will they be applied. So you're giving me that power, you're giving me one central place to make all of these edits, to give you all of my suggestions and my final presentation materials, but you're still in control over what actually syncs to your event. This is also great for me as a speaker because as you maybe assign me to an additional session and add or take away from my schedule, whatever that may be, I'm always seeing the sessions that I am specifically speaking at here. And then finally, from the speaker's perspective, we have this task tab. Tasks are going to be custom configured by you all as the planners. So you are not set in the default tasks that may be provided in this system for you. You're not limited in that sense. You can create as many tasks as you need. You are able to determine, is this a mandatory task or is it optional? What is its due date? And who is this assigned to? So you may have tasks that all speakers, no matter what their session is, have to complete. And then maybe you have some additional tasks that are specific only to sessions that they are handling the presentation materials in. Whereas someone who is paneling, but not handling any sort of presentation deck, they don't need to see this task. It's not relevant to them. So you can fully control exactly who sees and who is held to which task. As I open some of these up, you'll also notice you can attach documents and share links directly through the tasks as well. So when I'm uploading presentation material, this is my flagship conference. I want everything to be really consistently branded. I want to make sure everyone's presentations, while the content is different, to really feel on theme and the same throughout the entire week. I can actually provide a template here. So you can provide any documents that you need them to download. We also see that with our speaker agreement. I can provide the speaker agreement directly through the tool if your contracting process allows. You determine what file formats are accepted. Speakers can upload up to a 50 megabyte file, so they do have a lot of room here to give their full presentation. And then when they're done with the task, they simply check it off. This will now show their completion date, and it will also show you, the planner, a task list of who is complete, who is overdue. Final example I have here for the speaker side is that link I was mentioning. So this may be a link to your website, to an external contracting process that you may have in place. I know that that is always its own beast to tackle, but of course you want to make sure that these speakers are registered for the event. So you could actually include the registration link to the event right here on that to-do list. From an efficiency standpoint, we're going to look at the planner's perspective in just a moment. Now, of course, we know this is going to save you a lot of time. It's putting everything in one place, but it's also making this a really good experience for your speakers as well. They don't feel like they're in the dark. They know exactly what's expected of them in advance, easy to communicate with them, and they have a great experience at your conference, so they want to come back and speak every year. They want to tell all of their colleagues how great of an experience it was. As we switch gears, we'll look at this from the planner's perspective. So the Speaker Resource Center, as I mentioned, it lives within CVent, and it's part of your CVent Flex registration event. It pairs really nicely if you are searching for a call for paper tool. Of course, we have those solutions as well, but there's no mandate or no requirement to use those other CVent solutions. You can simply just use the Speaker Resource Center. This will live here under my website and registration. So all that I had to do as a speaker was all that I had to do as a planner was make sure that I uploaded my speakers into the back end of my event. I can do that with a bulk import. And this will give me a nice overview of who do I have uploaded so far. Maybe I accepted someone last minute and I want to add them into the event. I'm not locked down. It's not going to limit me. It's also going to be a great way for me to easily see what sessions are people assigned to, how many sessions, all of those profile changes that they're making. Once I have them uploaded into the tool, I also have that speaker resource checklist for me as a planner over here on the right-hand side. So now I get to determine all of my settings. What are they allowed to do? Like I mentioned, if I'm allowing them to make edits, do I need to approve them? Do I actually want to cut this off at a specific date or time to say all edits should be in by October 1st? The site that we were looking at from the speaker's perspective, you as the planner would design that as well, but it's built with an intuitive drag and drop designer. So now I'm still the planner. I'm actually getting this ready for the speakers to use. I can easily navigate between my home summary page, what I want my task page to look like, fonts, themes, colors. On the right-hand side, I can add additional elements to this page. So very easy to use for you. We want to make your life easier, not more complicated by having to design a website. It's all drag and drop, and as I want to make changes or add text in somewhere, I simply click. A lot of this can also pre-populate. So we notice that my event description, I'm not going to edit the text here because this is pulling right from the registration event that I set up already. Because this is all living together, a lot of that groundwork is already done for you. We're not going to make you repeat yourselves. So from here, we'll take a look at our task list. This is, like I mentioned, somewhere that you can really configure things and set things up to accomplish exactly what you need from your speakers. Looking at this, I see the tasks that I've already created. Of course, I can create something brand new. I can also see how many people this was assigned to versus how many have completed it. As I click into any of these tasks, this is similar to what my create task would look like. I decide, is it mandatory? When is that due date? Exactly what do I want to be sharing with that speaker? And like I mentioned, I could blanket assign this to everyone that is uploaded as a speaker in my event, or I can enter specific speakers. So now I'm seeing my full speaker list and I can jump to who I need. If I know that Heather needs to check off this task, I can make sure that it was assigned to her. And if not, I would simply check her off and now it is assigned to her. Am I allowing them to upload files to this particular task? Am I giving them files to download for this task? And then seeing their progress, like I mentioned. What's great about these individual tasks is that I can send an email reminder out. So if I've had the Speaker Resource Center up for about a month now, we're coming up 2 weeks until the deadline, I can send out a bulk reminder to everyone who is still incomplete on this particular task and let them know, hey, make sure you complete this. Deadline is October 1st. As a planner, I'm also able to access everything that the speakers upload. So I did mention this from the speakers side before, but now as a planner, I want to see everything that they've added into the tool. I need to bulk download this, have my creative team give it that one final look over and save it onto all of the thumb drives and all of the computers to actually use day of the event. So right away, I don't have to go anywhere except the speaker uploads tab. And now I can actually bulk download all of these files instead of having to go one by one. Of course, since we're emailing those speakers, we want to make sure that we're customizing those emails. So under promotion and communication, we do have dedicated speaker emails that you're able to edit before they get sent out. But from a planning perspective, probably the most important part to me now, I've created that checklist, I've shared it with the speakers, I need to make sure that it's all going well. You'll also have access to dedicated speaker reporting. Instead of searching through everything, I can just jump right down to my speaker reports. Today, we have an overall speaker list, and we have a speaker task report. Reports, just like our email capabilities, are continuously growing. So over the next few months, we'll see this list grow and grow. I went ahead, I ran both of them ahead of time. My speaker list, I decided to group this by speaker full name. And as I open up one of these speakers, I'm going to look at Ryan because he has 2 sessions. I can now see each of his sessions, how many people are registered for it, and any additional information that I want to pull in here. If you don't quite love looking at it like this, if this maybe isn't exactly how you need to read it, you can make those edits. So you can change any data that's being pulled in here. You can also change the layout and the grouping. So if instead you'd like to look by session name and see all the speakers associated with the session, you can view that way as well. And then your task list. So this is a really great visual so that you have an idea of where do we stand to completion. This is showing me how many people in blue have not completed their task versus how many people in gray have. Without even looking at the numbers on the bottom of this chart, I know that we're a long way off. So I need to send out a blast email right now to all of my speakers, letting them know it's time to get on it and get their tasks complete. So you don't have to sit there and drudge through each individual task or all of the overall information in the event. You can simply run this speaker task list to always have a nice quick overview of where do you stand. Again, ability to group this however you need. So whether it's by task itself, whether it's by speaker name, and then what they've completed and what they have not. So you're really able to make this your own to make sure that all of those pieces we talked about, saving time for your speakers, but really saving time for your planning team, having a good experience for the speakers, that leads to a good experience to you, of course, but it also leads to a good experience for your attendees. If everything is turned in on time, your mobile app and your on-site materials are all set up and distributed on time. So your attendees are engaged before they even get on site. So I hope that this was helpful. Of course, we can always dive deeper in, but wanted to really be able to showcase to you all how we can bring all of the, how we can relieve all of the challenges that Phil talked to us today and bring that all to life.
Thanks, Julie.
And this is Rob and Julia, that was, it was a gotta see it to believe it kind of scenario. So thank you so much. As we were looking through that, I consistently kept looking over at Phil and saying, wow, wow. You know, you've got speakers out there that are making thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so, especially in that reporting piece, when you're able to report to the financial executives within your organization, that speaks volumes.
Yes, yep, that last report, that visual is my favorite part. So I'm glad that it hit right on the nose with all of the planners in the room.
Well, it sure did. And Julia, thank you so much for your time today. So take it away, Phil.
Well, so I want to take a moment again. Thanks, Julia, for doing that. But, you know, if we go back and we reflect for just a second on the what I need area, right? So when you take when you look at the different platforms that are out there, see that, you know, if you need a complete solution from registration all the way through, you know, CVent might be the right thing for you. However, if you're a smaller organization or maybe your meetings are not as robust, maybe another product, you know, CVent may not be the right fit for you. And that's why it's so important to really document and outline what you need from a process perspective, as well as the features, and then look at your costs and then the future growth. Those items are incredibly important to helping you identify what product or what platform is going to best help you achieve success for your next program. You know, I was mentioning to Robin that I barely can get an expense report finished. So the thought of trying to manage speaker management in itself is frightening, to be honest. So to kind of recap, you know, we look at the results, increases in productivity. You know, we're looking at increases in productivity anywhere from 25 to 30% by utilizing a platform, an electronic platform such as the ones we've talked about, right? When you look at reduces cost, the critical piece to that is, again, as I mentioned, take your team or your salary and divide that by the number of hours that you utilize or dedicate to just speaker management. And then the last thing is, you know, improving the experience for the attendee. Because again, if that information isn't accurate or up to date, what's the most frustrating thing to an attendee is showing up to a particular session and the speaker information, the content, the bio, even the headshot isn't accurate. I can assure you that you're going to hear about it either through a survey or they're going to, you know, confront you on site. So, you know, over the past 45 minutes, we've talked a little bit about all of the challenges that you face, both as a meeting planner, all the different tasks, but in particular, speaker management. And again, for us at Federal Conference, you know, that's an important area for us because it's one of the things that is really not focused on. We talked a little bit about what do I need and going through a process to help you identify specific areas. We provided you a couple of solutions. More importantly, tools and resources that you can use to help you in your journey to identify the right product for you. We had obviously the live demo. And at the end of the day, it's about the attendee experience and how to make your lives better as planners. I don't know if there are any questions or from anyone. don't see any.
Yep, and I'm sorry, a little technical error here. Phil is available to answer any questions, and you can always reach out to him at Federal Conference, and you can always reach out to Visit Alexandria, and we can connect you with some of those folks that he was actually referring to as far as platforms that you can utilize. I did want to just announce our team here at Visit Alexandria. We are led by our Senior Vice President of Sales, Lorraine Lloyd, and Carla Bascobay-Hebel, Director of Destination Sales. And we are a full service destination. And so should you have any needs in the DC metro area for you planners out there, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We are great to be your boots on the ground for not just Alexandria for your meeting. If you've got large programs that are taking place across the river at National Harbor, possibly DC or Arlington, we are a great resource for you to offer offsite delegate experiences, and can really just be a good general source to give us a call and let us help you. And I also want to thank our resident writer, Caroline Seacrest, who is our communications associate and writer. She has been sitting in on our webinar today, and she will be writing up a post blog, which once that is completed in the next couple of weeks, we will be sending that out to you. But in interim, we have recorded this webinar. There is some great information in there. Again, listening to Phil's presentation, I just could not imagine placing this in real-time value. And now that I see it, it really is project management, and your speakers are your project management. And again, they can be as inexpensive as honorarium fees all the way up to, you know, as we know, $250,000. So there's a lot involved in there. And I know Phil has some information on, I believe, a white paper that y'all are going to come out with.
Yep. So Federal Conference is working on a case study and white paper, and as part of our collaboration with Visit Alexandria, we will release that out to Visit Alexandria in advance to send out to everyone before as we publish it. So we're again honored and delighted to be able to partner with Visit Alexandria and be here today and be a resource for all of you in the future.
So that concludes our webinar, and thank you so much. And we look forward to sending you information, and I will be uploading today's roster into the Events Industry Council website so that those of you that do have accounts with them, you will get credit for today's webinar. And thank you so much, Caroline, and thank you so much, Phil.